Well, thank everybody for inviting me. It only cost me about $1 million or so.
Meet Don Blankenship, former CEO of Massey Energy.
They sometimes say that those of us in Appalachia need help because we're not very smart. They're shutting coal mining down. They're intending to put you out of work and to put you out of your homes. Trying to give your jobs away are the easy to recognize environmental nuts. They're easy to recognize because they're the ones that are chained to your equipment or hanging from your trees. These nuts want to eliminate all American jobs so that they can save the planet. Global warming is pure make-believe. Our government wouldn't know a fact if it tripped over one. They apparently don't know that the earth is cooling and has for the past 8 years.
Massey Energy employed over 5,850 people, operating 35 underground mines and 12 surface mines. In a 6-year span, Massey violated the Clean Water Act 4,500 times. On June 1, 2011, Massey Energy was sold to Alpha Natural Resources for $7.1 billion. Alpha is the primary coal company in West Virginia to this day. But this story is not about Don Blankenship or Massey Energy. A group of 9 high schoolers from southern Maine took a trip down to West Virginia to learn about mountaintop removal. They collectively knew very little about coal. Through the first-hand experiences that they had on this trip, the high school students wished to get involved. But this story is not about their amazing trip. This story is about often the most overlooked piece of mountaintop removal: the people of Appalachia. The ones that have their land taken from them, their mountains demolished, their water polluted, and their way of living oppressed. This story is about their stories, the real people of Appalachia, that have endured much more than any of us ever could imagine. This is what happens when the mountains sound.
Did you see him going? It was early this morning. He passed by these houses on his way to the coal. He was tall, he was slender, and his dark eyes so tender. His occupation was mining, West Virginia, his home. It was just before 12, I was feeding the children. Ben Mosley came running to bring us the news. Number 8 is all flooded, many men are in danger. And we don't know their number, but we fear they're all doomed. So I picked up the baby and I left all the others to comfort each other and pray for our own. There is Timmy, 14, and there's John, not much younger. Their own time soon will be coming to go down the black hole.
Welcome to Appalachia, home to some of the most beautiful mountains and diverse ecosystems in the world. When I first arrived in West Virginia, things didn't really add up. How could a place that is this beautiful be dealing with so much destruction? It seemed like a mountainous paradise. We came to West Virginia to learn about coal and mountaintop removal. I felt like the best way to learn about this issue was to hear stories from the people who have lived here.
You know, and I always lived country. Then we moved to Georgia, and I spent 8 years there. Different environments. First time I saw black people in my life that I could remember. Still rural. Daddy had his own business. Him and Uncle Red bought land together to farm and all, but I married a boy and moved to Tennessee, and that was 20.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be somebody's wife and a mother, and the mountains were like, they were awesome. It was like land waves. These mountains are so much like land waves to me that It's like home of a different nature. And I'd always worked, but my husband wasn't working and I couldn't get a job. And I'd been here 2 months. I'm 62. I had lived through women's lib and I had lived through the civil rights movement. And I consider myself a pretty modern person. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't get a job and I couldn't be outspoken because the women took me aside and told me that if I didn't stop talking about the company, that my husband would never work in the mines. And I thought, I wasn't really talking about the company. I was asking questions. Well, I'm a root digger. I like to dig roots. I like to get out in the woods. And I like to dig golden seal, which is mountain yellow root. There's creek yellow root and mountain yellow root. And I remember the first time my son and I went back to a patch that we had said, we were there 1 year and it was a young patch. And we thought, well, we'll come back in 2 years. He was digging sign and stuff. And when we came back in 2 years, it had been clear cut. Mm-hmm. And I knew that they were, and it was clear cut. And it wasn't done in conjunction with strip mining permits, because if you log in connection to a mining permit, you have to log differently than if you're just logging. And, so I can recognize the symptoms of what a mountain being set up to be cut away. The more you get industrialized with technology, just to totally devastate, to create. You're going down to subsoil. Eventually, things will grow again because they have a seed. But a mountain ain't. How you gonna grow a mountain again?
Down the black hole. Oh, if I had the money to do more than just feed them, I'd give them good learning, the best could be found. So when they grow up, they'd be checkers and weighers, and not spend their time drilling in the dark underground. Now what can I say to his poor little children? Or what can I tell his old mother at home? Or what can I say to my heart that's clear broken? To my heart that's clear broken if my darling is gone. Say, did you see him going so early this morning? He walked by your houses on his way to the coal. He was tall, he was slender, and his dark eyes so tender. His occupation was mining, West Virginia, his home.
We were curious what these mountains actually looked like, so we took a little road trip down to Lindy Town, which was originally a coal town back in the day. Lindy Town was completely abandoned. The only things there were old abandoned mines and abandoned driveways that used to lead to houses. All of the power lines were cut, and the copper on top was taken off to be sold elsewhere. Out of pure luck, we came across a valley fill that had no trespassing signs. My teacher Nathan and I decided that it would be a once-in-a-lifetime chance to see what was at the top. It was a hike up, and much higher than we thought it was when we first started. When we finally made it to the top, we were amazed at what we found. It was a moonscape up there. The only trace of anything were tracks for trucks to come and dump rubble over the edge. This mountain that was originally so full of life had just been blown to pieces. Where I was standing used to be the valley between two mountains, and it now had just been leveled off. All that was left of the valley was just a small stream that was from the water runoff of the mountain. It was shocking to see this. How could a mountain, so full of life, become this rubble mess?
We've been under tornado watches all spring. That could be, and last year too, and that could be, a result of climate change, which I truly believe is happening. But then again, part of that climate change is that we've taken 800 to 1,000 feet off of mountains. And so you don't have the windbreak. So the mountain doesn't work as a windbreak any longer, and it no longer works as a functioning part of the earth when it rains. It's just a pile of rocks, and it just comes down. If we don't stop surface mining, they will absolutely remove every mountain, hilltop, dirt field that has coal under it until they get it all.
We need a multi-energy delivery strategy. But I think that because we've gotten so accustomed to purchasing energy that we've forgotten how to help create it ourselves. I don't want to flip a light switch and feel guilty about the mountain that's being cut away anymore. I don't. Maybe I don't know all the answers. I just think that people can develop the answers. But first of all, there has to be a way for them to become engaged in it, becoming part of the solution.
Come and listen, you fellers, so young and so fine, and seek not your fortune way down in the mine. It'll form as a habit and seep in your soul, till the streams of your blood turn as black as the coal. Where it's dark as a dungeon, damp as the dew, where the dangers are many, the pleasures are few, where the rain never falls and the sun never shines. It's dark as a dungeon way down in the mine. Well, there's many a man that I've known in my day who lived just to labor his whole life away, like a fiend with his dope and a drunkard his wine. The man will have lust for the lure of the mine, where it's dark as a dungeon, damp as the dew.